as we create an oversized flower by Georgia O'Keeffe. We're also going to be, the flower that we're going to be doing is called an hibiscus example. Now I want to start by just telling you a little bit about Georgia O'Keeffe. Georgia O'Keeffe, she was quite an amazing artist. She's known for her flowers, but she did so much more. She did buildings, she did landscapes, she did shells, she did bones, all kinds of things. Now I'll show you I'm going to share some pictures of Georgia did. Here's one that she did of New York City. So when she was a young girl, she did a lot of artwork. She went to the Institute of Art in Chicago, and then when she was about 20, she went to New York, where she started her art career. Now I'm going to show a couple other pictures here of Georgia, so you can kind of get an idea. Here's a picture of her when she was about 40 years old, and the house here is the house that she grew up in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, which is just outside Madison. Now, I want you to notice how young she looks here. This is when she was 28 years old. Picture of Georgia O'Keeffe, 28. Let's fast forward 60 years. Here's Georgia O'Keeffe when she was 98. My math isn't very good. Fast forward 70 years. So she did a lot of outdoor painting. You're going to see that she did things from, this one's from upstate New York, but she also did this painting from Lake George in upstate New York, this barn. This is the farm that her and her husband, Alfred Stieglitz, who was a photographer, had. Now, what's nice is this piece of artwork, which is a good size one, almost 40 inches long, is at the Walker Art Center here in Minneapolis. And I've seen this one in person. It's great to see these works by Georgia O'Keeffe. Now, I'm going to share a couple other flower paintings here, also of hers, so you can kind of see. This one's a watercolor. She did, most of her paintings were either watercolor or they were oil on canvas. Look at that poppy. Now, she did paintings of flowers, and she did them 40 to sometimes 80% bigger than they actually were, 80 times bigger than they were. And people asked her, Georgia, why do you paint these flowers so large? And she said every time she was painting them, she'd go into a garden, she's painting the flowers, and these people would be walking by. They wouldn't be paying any attention at all to what she was doing. And she said, if I paint flowers 50 times bigger than they are, there's no way people cannot walk by without noticing the beauty of every flower. She was amazed with the beauty of all the different flowers. I'm going to share with a few more. Look at these. Wow. The colors, the size of them, they're just amazing. Beautiful flowers. So as you can see, she did a lot of those. Then she moved. That was mostly in the 20s and 30s. And then she moved to the Southwest, and she did a lot of more things of the canyon. She was outside of Taos, New Mexico, in a place called the Ghost Ranch, where she lived for many years, over the last 40 years of her life. So she started out, and she traveled quite a bit. She was in Hawaii, she was in Japan, and you can see some of the things. Here are some great pictures of just the Southwest. Simple, but the colors and the depth are really fun. Okay, so I want to talk about what the materials you're going to need for today's project. You're going to need paper, pencil, eraser. One of the other things you're going to want to do is we want this to be a watercolor project. So I'm going to ask you guys if you have like these little palettes. A lot of you have these little watercolor palettes. If you have watercolor pencils, if you have tube watercolor, this is going to be a pencil drawing that we're going to do. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint it with watercolor. All right. So let's start here by doing our name. My name is Larry. I got it here on the bottom. The date is 5/12/20. Put the date. And then what I want to do is I want to start with the center of the flower, and I'm going to build my flower out. I'm going to show you this flower first up close so you can kind of see. This is the hibiscus. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm starting with the center part right there, and then I'm going to be doing these petals one petal at a time, coming out. I'm going to do the center part of the petal like that, and then I'm going to do the pistil coming out, and I'll do the stem coming down. Okay? So that's kind of the process we're going to go through as I put my flower there. So I hope everybody's ready. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with a circle. It's not in the center of the paper. It's a little bit higher than center, and it's off to one side. Can everybody see that circle? Yep. All right. So from the circle, what we're going to do is I'm going to make a little dot right there that you can see. And I want to come, and I'm going to come over, and I'm going to do my petal. So I come out. Now, hibiscus, the flower I'm doing today is hibiscus, and they do come to points on their flower. And so then I want to come back to the center. Now you can see my first petal, we see the whole petal. The rest of the petals are all going to be overlapped, so we're not seeing the whole petal anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dot right there, and this is where I'm going to start. I'm going to come out, I'm going to come back to the center. So I'm overlapping from here, and I'm coming back to the center. So everybody should have two petals. For petal number 3, I'm going to come right here, and I want to come down, and I want to come back to the center. So now you see I've got 3 petals. For my next petal, I'm going to start right over here, and I'm going to come out, and I'm going to come back to the center. So this is that overlapping. So you see I started with a full petal here, and then they're all partial because they're all overlapping. I come back like that, coming over here. I'm doing petal by petal, coming back. And my last petal is going to be up here. It comes out. I saw it came right off the paper there. Now that petal is a little bit smaller because we're looking kind of up at it. It's kind of going back that way. Now, one of the things I want to show you is these center areas are part of each one of these petals. So it isn't like it's a item that's sitting on top of it. It's in it. It's in the petal. So I'm coming in the petal like this. I'm going to come out with 1. I'm going to come with number 2. Come with number 3. I come with number 4. I come with number 5. So I have all 5 petals now. Does everybody have 5 petals? What we want to do next is we're going to take the pistil, and the pistil is going to come out from the center of our flowers. So it's going to come out from here. So what I'm doing is I'm making a dot in here, and I'm going to come out, 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 out like this with 2 lines that are pretty narrow, parallel lines, coming to a point like that. So what I want to do is just come out like that. And then I'm going to add these little pieces because this comes with little feelers here. I'm going to come out. And they have all these little like antennae here. And I want you to kind of add all these. They have hundreds of little things. And they have these little ovals on the end of each one of them. So I'm adding my little ovals. Now I don't have to do them all because I'm going to do most of them with watercolor. So I want you to go ahead and add these on. So we have these first pistil coming out. And then the thing that we want to do next is we want to add a stem. And the stem, I look at where the flower is, and I see the stem is going to be coming right about like this. So I come out here, and the stem is pretty big because this is an oversized flower. Come out there with my stem. And I can add a couple leaves on the stem coming out like that, and one coming out over here. You can come out with that. So the next thing you want to do is you have your petals. We have 5 petals because the hibiscus is a 5-petal flower. Then I want to add the inside of each petal. Then we have from the center, we have the pistil coming out. Then we have the stem. Now, one of the next things I want to show you is I'm going to use this marker so you can see it. Is from each one we want to add the veins. So I'm going to come in from the point, and I come back with some veins. Each flower, you can see them. Each one of these petals has these veins. Just a few, and I come from the center, adding the veins. Like that. We have these veins coming out. As you can see. So we have our petals, we have our stem, and we have our pistil coming out. That gives you the general way that we're going to do this. And then I've got one that I did a little bit earlier. So what I show you here is it just on regular drawing paper, but if you have watercolor paper, I like to do this project on 140-pound watercolor paper, works the best. But I'm just going to draw it out for you so you can kind of see real quickly here how we're going to do this. Now, I'll draw it out real quick so you can kind of get the idea of what it was. So with the pencil, as I'm looking at it here, I can come into the light here so you can kind of see this. I start with my circle. I come in with my petal. Now each one of these is going to, of course, be different because that's the way flowers are. As I overlap here, coming like this. Okay, and then I'm going to have my pistil coming out. Get these out. I'm going to have my stem coming out here with the leaves, as you can see. And then each one of these has these little indentations like that. So that's a quick little sketch. So what I want to do next is if you're using a palette, the best thing to do, I'll just show you with this one here, is this is the one I'm using today. If you have watercolor pencils, they work great. Otherwise, you can have tube paints, but I like this project watercolor. So I'm going to just put a little water on each one of the colors just to get them moistened up so that we have it. And I like to always start with my background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some water and get my paint, and I mix it off to the side here with this. I'm doing like that. So what I'm going to do here is and I'm going to work the background first. So I just like to get the background wet. So I quickly get the background wet, just with a little bit of water. I like the paper wet to start with, especially the background. But I usually wet the paper before I add it because I like doing the wet on wet technique. So there I go, and I'm going to get some paint that I've already got mixed and diluted because I don't want to go full strength, getting more water. And then you can see I'm going to do this lightly. I'm using this blue and coming in here and getting a quick wash over the sky. And remember, with watercolor, white is part of the process. And I like, a lot of times I'm working flat because the water has a way of going, but working up right here, I'm getting some really interesting drips coming that I really love. Now, I'm not crazy about the blue because the sky's a little bit different, so I'm going to add a little purple into it while it's wet. The purple, there's no purple here, so I just use my red and my blue to make a nice little purple. And I'm just not going over the whole thing. I'm adding purple into little spots, just with little bits here going in and out there. So I've got my background. You can kind of see that background. Then I'm going to do petal by petal. What I'm looking at here is I'm going to go and I want to get my petal wet a little bit here. So I come in, wet this petal, and I'm going to do I think I'll do a nice reddish flower here. So I'm going to do light to start with. I come in light, coming over light like that. And I'm not doing the whole flower. I'm just kind of, the whole petal, I'm just kind of coming over and getting parts of it. It's dripping more than I got a little too wet here, so it's dripping a bit there. But you're getting the idea. Coming over here, coming in with the flower there, getting a little bit more of my red here. Coming. And I'm going to do my other one right here, just kind of just getting each one of those like that. Then I'm going to add a little bit of purple inside here, not as much water. I'm going to get some of my water off and kind of come in and do a little bit of purple, little bit of purple, little bit of purple to get the center there. All right. Now, this gets a quick start for me. I'll get my pistol now. So I want to use, I'm not going to get it wet. I'm going to use a couple of my red and I'm going to get a little bit less color, a little bit less water. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to follow my line here. And I want to get my brush pretty loaded so I can come all the way out. And I like how it kind of bleeds here a little bit. So I'm going to do dot, 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 coming over here. Just getting those little bits of dots, dot, 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 dot. And it don't even have to touch. They're just kind of getting those little, like little antenna feelers here coming out for this flower. And you can kind of see that there. Just to get a quick, and then I'm going to come back. I've got a quick layer on everything. I'm going to come back and start working on my veins. I'm also want to work on my flowers. So I'm going to come over, just coming over and following the lines here. There's my vein. So I'm just kind of going in. Again, I'll do petal by petal, getting enough water on each one so that I got this. So I come over. And I'm just coming through here just to get kind of quick. And then I'm going to blend some of those more harsher lines with a little less. So I'm going to come now and add a little bit of my yellow here to kind of come in and add. And I'm not using big brush strokes here. I'm just using kind of letting the water kind of do its own thing there as I'm doing that petal. At the same time, I'm going to add a little bit more of the purple into this. Keeping these going there. And then I'm going to come back, cleaning my brush, adding this red. You're kind of seeing that I'm coming in petal by petal, just adding the details. And you're going to go layer by layer on getting these to create. And I'm kind of coming in here with a little bit of yellow, followed up with the red. And of course, then it's turning orange on me, which is what I was looking for, kind of this orangish peachy color here for it. And spreading that there. And then I'm going to come with my yellow to create my stem. Just coming down. My leaves with that. Then I'll add green on top of that. I'm going to add a little bit of green in spots here. I'm always kind of coming back and making sure my colors are all over the whole picture. That was the quick watercolor. I typically would take hours to do this, but I wanted to get you kind of the quick layers of this so you get an idea of doing this project with watercolor. Now, if you have, what I love to see if you do this project is when you're done to send me what your take of it is. I love to see all the different flowers. So send it to info@rumriverart.com. And then we're going to be adding this to our blog and a recording of this. And you'll be able to see all the different people who have let us see their beautiful paintings. So have fun with this watercolor project by our artist Georgia O'Keeffe. Let's see. Show us. Lift up your picture if you got it, guys. Wow. Let's see, guys. Show us. Oh, these look great. Let's see. And next week, we're doing a project called Grumpy Cat, which is another fun drawing project. Until then, it's Larry from the Rum River Art Center. Thanks a lot. Bye.